America has yet again gotten itself into a problem that it refuses to fix. But the fix is quite easy and fun nonetheless. Let's dig in.
Facts over tracks, isn't that spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
In America, we are facing a serious problem that could and will damage our civilization forever. Our society holds in the balance and aka how many babies that are being born versus how many people that are actually dying every year. If you were to look at the past generations, like the Greatest Generation, which had 63 million people within it, or the Silent Generation, which had 55 million people within it, the problem isn't a problem until you start getting deeper into the data. For example, in America, people don't care. It's this very thing that makes us thrive as a country. But not only that, but it allows us not to go extinct. That being our rate of replacement. We can see that we have 3.46 million people that did die in 2023 already. There were only 3.75 million babies being born in 2023. This might not seem like a problem, but it really is. Like I said, there are 68.9 million people within Gen Z alone. So if we wanted to even replace Gen Z, we would need 18 years of having 3.75 million babies per year. That's a problem because there are only 17 years in a generation, or at least in Gen Z. So we will end off Gen Z with 1 million people less than what we started with, taking away that population from the next generation that would also do the same exact thing to that generation, and so on and so forth. Not all of the babies that are born actually survive. We can see that there are an average of 5.4 deaths per 1,000 babies, which lowers the 2023 count to 3.73 million, moving replacement numbers below what they were before, and before they were pretty low. What we also had was 45 million immigrants moved to America in 2023. That might not seem like a big deal, but it really is. This is because of the fact that if Americans can't have babies to keep up the population, these immigrants will and are already doing so. All of the people that are going to be within the country are going to be new incoming people, not people that have been here for generations over generations. It's instead are going to be filled with people that are new to the country and that they just moved here last generation ago. With that being said, we're going to be moving into the headlines of the week.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Before we get into the headlines of the week, I actually have a big announcement. Here's the video. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, is the oldest president in history.
Come on, man. How many push-ups you want to do here?
A couple of weeks ago, he celebrated his birthday and he put 106 candles on the cake to signify how old he really is. Doing this, they thought would be a funny little skit, but it tells a story about how our political system is really wrong, and it failed us, the American people. Doing this, they lit the whole entire White House on fire, which coincidentally was the only place in the United States that wasn't on fire. The economy, the world, and everything in between, like I have been talking about, is on fire. That's why I took this picture of the White House and I put it on a shirt. When you buy this shirt, it's not just buying a shirt. It's supporting a company that supports your values and will not cave to any of the woke nonsense. Arujo Studios will not comply with left-leaning ideology no matter how bad it quote-unquote looks, to stand up for the truth. The God-given truth. This is not the only sweater that we have. We have other designs, like this hat or this shirt. All of the things the left hates the most, which is truth, will be available at shop.arujo Studios. See you there. Yes, you heard that right. We now have some goodies for you guys to buy over at shop.arujostudios.com. Now, I actually know that you guys will get a lot of compliments with the stuff when you wear something like this and it says, "This is fine." The whole entire White House is on fire. Like I said in the video, the whole entire world is on fire because of the failure that Joe Biden and the administration that he is surrounded with does for us. So this just proves that you are on the right side of history. This just proves that you know what you are talking about. This proves that you know the truth about what's going on in the United States and what they are saying at the White House with Jen Psaki and now Karen Jean Pierre lying about things every single day. Starting off, we actually have a Daily Wire article. We have Jew hatred on campuses. Will America tolerate it? So if you do not already know, we had a couple days ago a conference with MIT and Harvard. These deans of schools actually went in front of Congress and were answering questions.
At MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
They've targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
What actually resulted in this interrogation into the deans of these very, very highly looked at colleges? Well, I'll tell you, quote, does calling for genocide of Jews violate your code of conduct rules regarding bullying and harassment? This is the question that was asked of presidents of the University of Pennsylvania, MIT, and Harvard on Tuesday in Congress. Not one president simply answered yes. High school seniors have a lot on their mind beyond the regular trials and tribulations of the American teenager. Upperclassmen in high schools across America spend much of their time deciding which college they should attend. These options are vast. The American post-secondary educational system is robust, and the options are aplenty. But for American Jewish high school students, the question they suddenly need to ask is whether they will be safe on college campuses for their choosing. Unfortunately, the answer at many of our nation's top universities is unequivocally no. This is where we are as a society in America today. The data is as stark as anecdotal evidence. Even before the outburst of overt and aggressive anti-Semitism on campuses that came after Hamas's atrocities, inhumane terrorist attacks on Israeli civilians on October 7th, Jewish college students are not feeling safe on college campuses across the country. Now, I want to take a little pause right there because we do have a lot of reports coming in from people that have been going to these universities, these very same universities, saying about the horrors that they're facing. They're walking to class. They have people attacking them. They have people, they can't even feel safe going to their own college because of the fact that these people are being attacked just because of the religion that they are. We are going back in time as a society. We are going back in time as a civilization. And it's sad. It's devastating. We're going back to Nazi. In the schools year prior to the October 7th attacks, almost 75% of Jewish college students in America directly experienced anti-Semitism. Anti-Jewish hate crimes led the FBI statistics of hate crimes against a religious group by a large margin. Even before the school year's explosion of anti-Semitism, the anti-Semites in and around college campuses often yelled foul when being charged with anti-Semites, and instead often resorted that they were simply anti-Israel, anti-colonization, or anti-Netanyahu. In a desperate need for finding a cover for their Jew hatred, college students and professors that engaged in obvious anti-Semitism grasped at proverbial straws to hide behind their supposed social justice issues of the day. Categorizing Israel and the Jewish people as part of the oppressor class, they reasoned allowed them to justify, defend, and even celebrate the mass rape and slaughter of over 1,400 Israeli civilians on October 7th. The shine and dangerous position that is expressed at rally after rally in opinion pieces published in school papers and lectured by professors and on social media. This is a fallacious lens, though, which so many in academia have decided to view the world. Their fox into intellectualism and moral turpitude has been exposed since October 7th. Since then, professors and college students alike simply call for the end of Jewish people and or the Jewish state. They call for slicing the throats of Jews for a global intifada. Students are harassed and assaulted while walking through campuses. Universities, for the most part, allow this all to happen and advise the Jewish students that they should just go in throughout the back door or hide in the library until it's over. Gone are the days of intellectual debates on college campuses where viewpoints are expressed and deliberated. After years of telling professors and students alike that language can be violent, microaggressions are to be challenged, safe spaces must be created for marginalized groups, and equality offices must be established to protect all students, it turns out that none of these platitudes apply to the Jewish community. When it comes to Jews, students and professors seem to have a carte blanche to call for their murder, celebrate their mass rape, and to harass and intimidate Jewish students across the country. Today, many college campuses are more reminiscent of the 1930s Germany, where the Nazis pushed their ideologies, than the American university system system that educated so many for the past several decades. The American people heard 3 university presidents testifying before Congress about the rise of anti-Semitism on their campuses on Tuesday. The hearing was jaw-dropping. For the most part, these elite university presidents at UPenn, MIT, and Harvard refused to clearly condemn anti-Semitism and seemed almost smug in their responses about calls for a genocide of Jewish students on campus. Hiding behind the First Amendment was a covert yet legally deficient space to bury their condemning of Jew hatred. And I completely agree, because of the fact that they already hated Israel. So they just needed a front. They just needed an excuse to actually come out and say, you know, I actually don't want Israel to actually be a state. That's exactly what they want to come out and say. So we do have the video for you guys to actually watch of what these people actually said in their own words, because of the fact that it's obviously a lot better to actually hear it in their own words. So we do have the video here for you guys to watch. So let's watch this here.
Rules regarding bullying and harassment, yes or no?
If targeted at individuals not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context when calling for the elimination.
It's depending on the context here. Now let's look at the context. But the second that you say a one word that has 2 syllables that starts with the N word, it does not matter depending on the context. It does not matter because they don't care about the context. You said the N word, you're canceled forever. You cannot get a job. You are expelled from college. You're canceled online. You're bullied. You're harassed. You're tracked down. You are swatted. All of these things, all of these bad things happen to you if you say a one word that has 2 syllables that starts with an N. But if you call for a mass genocide of millions and millions of people, if you say from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, then you are sitting here saying that Israel cannot be a state of Jewish dominated state. You cannot have this as a state if you're saying this. So at the same exact time as you saying, oh no, well, you cannot say one thing, but you can say the other thing. If you're talking about hatred towards other people, or hate speech as the left likes to call it, then there's no other word for hate speech, or no other definition for hate speech other than this very thing, calling for the genocide, the mass genocide of a whole entire state of people. Let's resume.
Of the Jewish people.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can...
Oh, okay. So if you commit a mass genocide of Jewish people, then we're going to take action against you. And, you know, we're not only going to take action against you, but the police are probably going to kill you too. But, you know, that's only if you act on your intentions here. But if you just say to a person that you wish that they never existed, that you're going to wipe up their whole entire family, you're going to kill their family tree, you wish that Israel wasn't even a Jewish dominated state, you wish Netanyahu could just get the hell out of here, kick rocks. If you say all of these things, it doesn't matter at all. But if you start killing people, oh, wait a second, that's the line. So you could tell that there's no, it's like South Pole to North Pole. It's total different things here that you're talking about. There's no in between. It's either you're doing the thing or you're saying the thing. It's not, okay, now you're getting close to the line that you're going to start persuading some people towards something that's going to be very evil. It's going to be very evil. Before Hitler even did anything, he convinced a whole entire group of people, which was a whole entire group of his supporters in Nazi Germany, to actually go ahead and give up the Jewish people, send them away to a Nazi camp where they pretended as if this was going to be a good vacation for them, and then made the Jewish people actually become prisoners. They were entitled them to mass murder. They entitled them to all of these terrible, horrific scientific experience. I mean, it's just beyond me. It's beyond explanation what Hitler did to the Jewish people. But also at the same exact time, we need to acknowledge the fact that Nazism that dominated in Germany during the 1930s did not just happen happened just in the blink of an eye. It happened because of the fact that he persuaded a whole entire country to agree with him. It didn't just happen right off the bat and said, whoop, 1 minute we are speaking, the next minute we are going out and committing a mass genocide. No, you convince people, you keep on convincing them until they actually vote for you in, and then they vote for your policies, and then those policies are the ones that actually killed the Jewish people. So how about if we just stop pretending as if these people are not anti-Semites, and they should just draw a mustache on their face like the Babylon Bee said, and they should just have the Nazi mustache at this point, because they're just doing the bidding of Nazi Germany, but in the year 2023. Let's resume.
Be harassment, yes.
I am asking, specifically calling for the genocide of Jews, does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's
context-dependent decision, and then if you say, like I said, if you say a two-syllable word, that one word that has two syllables that starts with the letter N, it does not matter the context whatsoever. You said the N-word, you are being canceled, you have your whole entire life ruined. But if you call for the mass genocide of a whole entire population of people, then context matters. Context matters, right? From the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. You need to get the whole entire state of Israel that has millions and millions of Jews, get the hell out of there. While you're getting out of there, we're going to kill you. But the whole entire genocide thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter until you actually act on it. That's what this person's saying.
Text-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If the
yes
speech
or
becomes,
no?
if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide?
Yeah, disgusting.
The speech is not harassment. This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
Okay, so you're just going to go and repeat the same exact thing that the first girl said. First of all, you little people, these people don't even realize what they're actually saying. And actually, you know what? I'm not even going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They do realize exactly what they're saying because they're the head of the most influential colleges in the whole entire world. Harvard, MIT, and UPenn State, the biggest colleges in America. We have their dean sitting right here making complete mockery of themselves, making them their colleges lose all of the trust of the American people, leaving their colleges with no other choice but to actually be bankrupt. They are leaving their colleges with no other choice but to be bankrupt because of the fact that people are not going to go to these colleges because they know that they're not going to get a good education. They know that they're going to be indoctrinated into ideologies that are going to be not only painful for their self, because now they're going to have to go through all of this liberal training and all this and that and this and that, and saying how bad the country is and all of this indoctrination. But not only that, but also you're going to be in debt for hundreds of thousands of dollars after you graduate from these schools. And then what do you have? You don't even have a good education. You have a bad, horrible education that has no grounding in reality, and you can be self-taught by Google and Wikipedia for free, and you can get a better education than this. Let's continue.
Context.
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation.
Okay,
That
but
is
what is bullying, harassment, or intimidation? What is that? Can you explain exactly what that is? Because you can say right off the bat that the one word that has 2 syllables and begins with the letter N is bullying, harassment, and intimidation. If you just say the word, if you utter the word underneath your breath in the direction of anybody, you will be canceled. It does not matter on which context that you say this one word that has 2 syllables and begins with the letter N. It does not matter. But if you sit here and you call for the mass extermination of a whole entire population of people, then it's fine. It's fine and its context matters.
Questionable conduct, and we do take action.
What action?
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
And I completely agree. They are unacceptable. They are very, very, very unacceptable. And it's a disgrace that these people are actually still sitting here with their jobs to this very day. It's sad. This happened a few days ago, and it's just an upsetting day when we have our deans of the most astounded colleges in America sitting here calling for the mass German extermination of a population of people. Context matters, though. Context matters. We'll see about that when the next George Floyd happens. We'll see about that when there's a next situation where it involves a person of color. We'll see that. We'll see a person. We'll see how far they would actually go with this before they actually put their foot up their mouth. Before they actually contradict themselves in a very public way. Because it doesn't even matter when they do contradict themselves, because of the fact that, yet again, we always have the same exact situations happen. We always have this, not this very situation, but we have other situations that happen. They get contradicted, and then they just do nothing. They're like, oh, well, I got contradicted. Oh, well. There's no effect. It has no effect on them because they're just so used to being wrong that it just does not even matter at this point. It doesn't even matter. With that being said, we do have another article from the Daily Wire. Okay, so we have undercover video shows Pornhub employees want porn to steer young people's sexual identities. So this was actually an undercover reporting from a undercover reporter. Now, what she did was a Project Veritas type thing. What she did was this is actually soundinvestigations.com, recorded July 9, 2023. So she just put all this together because she actually went on a date with one of the people on the board of Pornhub, and she just was asking him questions. And of course, like what always happens, they always answered all these questions and they don't even think twice. So, moving with this article, what actually happens here? So, employees of Pornhub's parent company were caught on camera. Employees of Pornhub's parent company were caught on camera touting the benefits of underage kids watching pornography and even suggesting that making videos of transgender identifying people were engaging in sex could help young people figure out their sexuality, according to a new video released exclusively on The Michael Knowles Show on Wednesday. Arden Young, the undercover journalist behind the newly released video from Sound Investigations, told the Daily Wire's host Michael Knowles that the videos indicate that, quote, protecting children is not a concern, maximizing profits is their concern, and they don't seem to care who they hurt in the process. The new video documents employees of Alio, formerly named MindGeek, the parent company of Pornhub, admitting to attempting to steer viewers' sexual proclivities. Employee Dylan Rice, a senior scriptwriter at the company, is seen arguing that pornography use can be beneficial for preteens. Quote, let's say that you're 12 years old. You're still trying to figure out your sexuality, maybe even your gender. Wouldn't it be helpful to see not a celebration, but maybe just a normalization of something that you think that you would want? Rice is seen saying. Rice went on to specifically reference a pornography site centered around transgender individuals, remarking, quote, let's say I was 12 and I saw trans angels. It would help me figure out what I do like and what I don't like. Knowles said that the attempt to steer viewers' sexual teases files in the face of one of the core arguments that emerged from the sexual revolution. Quote, the thing is so shocking to me that we've been told for my entire life, by the left, by the pro-pornography people, by the sexual revolutionaries, that sexual desire is in me, immutable, Knowles says. Quote, nobody becomes gay or bisexual. So this is actually very true. People have been saying for years and years, oh no, you don't get gay, you don't get bisexual, sexual, you were just born that way. And no, that's not true. You get indoctrinated into certain ideologies, you go down a path, or you get shown something, and if you were never shown that very thing when you were younger, then you would have never even grown up like that, because there's a lot of research that actually proved that the first thing you actually watched when you were little, so let's just say that you actually did watch pornography when you were little, the first thing that you saw, even though you did not know any better, is what you're going to be attracted to for the rest of your life, because that's your first interaction with sexual content. So your brain has no other choice but to think of it this way. Continuing with the article, in addition to Rice, the video shows conversations with ILO production coordinator Sylvian Fernandez and the technical support manager Mike Fernley. Fernandez apparently unbothered by Young's point that the average age at which most people view porn is only 11 years old, with Fernandez replying, quote, "I mean, sounds like my age," before adding, quote, "I mean, it makes sense, you know, definitely associated with puberty." The Allo employees said that the company looks for opportunities to put bisexual, gay, or trans scenes in videos that are typically marketed to straight men. Rice remarked that while some platforms are, quote, primarily for straight men, the company tries to push, quote, the envelope as much as you can and be like, can I hint at bi content here? What if we brought a trans talent onto the site? You kinda take these risks to broaden it a little bit more. Rice added, quote, you're always trying to push a little bit further. Quote, they need to try to push that stuff that is less accepted, like putting a trans male or a trans female in a scene, Rice said. See, I can convert somebody. Rice took it even further, referring to a transgender pornography site when he remarked, quote, it's female pretending trans woman that they sell that to straight men. So I think the next big step is doing something that's counterculture. Maybe doing like a trans man in a scene, like having a guy F, a male, presenting trans male with a female genitalia, and see how that does. Young, the sound investigations journalist, told Knowles she was, quote, inspired to investigate Pornhub in the first place because of a 2020 New York Times article that detailed the struggles of often underage people to get their abuse videos taken off of Pornhub. The undercover video is the latest in a longer series of videos on the pornography company, which attempt to prove that there is no serious effort to keep underage users off the platform, and that it attempts to appeal the pedophiles in young teens. Young said she referenced, quote, we have multiple previous undercover videos we've published that detailed just the lack of age consent verification for pornographic site uploads and pornographic ads, advertising porn to appeal to pedophiles and young teens. We have a plethora of undercover footage, Young added. Knowles said that the latest video should make the issue clear-cut case for anyone on the fence about regulating the porn industry. Quote, the takeaways here for me, Knowles concluded, is that, quote, this is as clear-cut as a case for proper political action as I have ever seen. If you are in elected office, wield the power of the state. What are they going to do? What they are doing is illegal in so many ways. Quote, stop looking at porn if for no other reason than the senior writers here are saying that they want to make you gay and trans, Knowles said. And I completely agree. These people should not be watching this stuff at this point anymore. And you shouldn't be watching this at any point. But if you had any objections to it before or prior to this, then this should be the set off for you. This should be the alarm, because now more than ever, they're forcing down an ideology that is going to put you down a path of transgenderism, and then you're going to end up cutting your genitalia off, and then blah 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 blah. Because it's not just what happens during it; it's what happens after. It's what the end goal of this very thing is. That's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to be transformed into a dysmorphic version of a combined male or female, a little bit of a both, because of the fact that they don't even know, and then they upload the video of you talking about it as if that was the goal at the very first place here. So it's very, very upsetting what this has actually came down to. And obviously it's very, very upsetting what actually took place on this website. It was never a website that people should have went on, but if you need any other documentation or any other evidence to just call it quits, everybody can do it. It's not like you're going to die if you do not have porn. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. We can all do it together. Everybody should just stop watching it altogether. And you know, it's not even just the fact that you can do it, it's your desires to not stop doing it. You cannot stop watching pornography because now your mind is addicted to it. And yes, addicted in the most loose term imaginable, because you're not addicted as if like you're addicted to crack, because you cannot just stop smoking crack because you're gonna die, but you can just stop watching pornography because you're gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be good. Put some locks on your devices, put some locks on your Wi-Fi router, use a VPN that prevents you from going on websites that's not authorized by another party. That's all things that you can try doing to actually prevent yourself from going down a rabbit hole and then just breaking your multiple day streak that you've had going on. This was the best opportunity to do it during last month, November. So this was the very first time that we could actually do it as a group, do it as a whole entire community, do it as a society. And a lot of people are just ignoring it altogether and saying, I'm just going to do it every single day because I want to. No, you have the desire. Stop focusing on the desire and stop making the desire take over your life. You have the ability to take over the desire, not vice versa. You cannot have the desire take you over. That's not healthy. So with that being said, if we were to take one thing away, it's that Pornhub is disgusting. It should be ashamed of itself. And the second thing is that these politicians need to make it, we need to make it abundantly clear to these politicians that we want laws in the books that ban this thing. Yes, we're not going to be able to watch our videos that we want to watch in the dark room in our house, alone, lonely. But the thing is, you don't have to do that. There's a better way. And when the government steps in and says, no, this is not flourishing for society, like we've talked about in the beginning of this video, we have a population problem in America. A lot of people are not paying attention to the population problem that we have. The birth rate that we have is lower than the actual population that we have. So we're going to be 1 million people short in this generation. Next generation, we're probably going to be 5 million people short. And the next generation, we're going to be 10 million people short, until we have no actual people being born in America because we're all sterile, or we're having sex with the sex robots, because that's coming too. With that being said, we do have one final article from the Federalist. We have State of Texas joins the Federalist, Daily Wire, in suing the Federalist Censorship Industrial Complex. So this is just the latest in a series of major investigations and court cases in the last year to uncover federal censorship laundered through private cutouts. The United States State Department is violating the United States Constitution by funding technology to silence Americans who question government claims, says a lawsuit filed on Tuesday by the Federalist, the Daily Wire, and the state of Texas. The three are suing to, quote, stop one of the most audacious, manipulative, secretive, and gravest abuses of power and infringements of the First Amendment rights by the federal government in American history, says the lawsuit. It expresses federal censorship activities even beyond the dramatic discoveries in a pending United States Supreme Court case, McCarthy versus Missouri, also known as Missouri v. Biden. This lawsuit alleges that the State Department is illegally using counterterrorism center intended to fight foreign disinformation, instead to stop American civilians from speaking and listening to information government officials dislike. Other recent investigations have also found government counterterrorism resources and tactics being used to shape American public opinion and policy. Though grants and public development assistance to private entities, including the Global Disinformation Index, GDI, and NewsGuard, the lawsuit alleges the State Department is actively interviewing in the news media market to render disfavored press outlets unprofitable by funding the infrastructure, development, and marketing and promotion of censorship technology and private censorship enterprises to covertly suppress speech of a segment of the American press. This is just the latest in a series of major investigations and court cases in the last year to uncover multiple federal censorship efforts laundered but through private cutouts, like the, quote, Twitter files, a series of investigative journalist reports uncovered by dozens of federal agencies pressured virtually all social media monopolies to hide and punish tens of millions of posts and users. Missouri v. Biden found that the federal censorship complex has included government officials changing the content moderation and users' policies of social media monopolies through threats to destroy their business models. House of Representatives investigations have uncovered United States national security and spy agencies creating private organizations to circumvent prohibition on federal officials abridging American speech. These false front organizations deliberately avoid creating records subject to transparency transparency laws and congressional oversight, public records show. Congressional investigators in November revealed that the federal officials have specifically targeted the Federalist reporting for internet censorship, in which Sean Davies was censured for saying the evidence against the integrity of the election was in fact the Democrats' media big tech were censoring anyone who observed their censorship efforts related to the investigation. The absolute best evidence we have right now Democrats' media and big tech are conspiring to steal the election is big tech censoring anyone and everyone who observes that big tech is using corrupt censorship to steal the election for Democrats. Quote, coordinating the government efforts to silence speech. The Fifth Circuit refrained from stopping the State Department's participation in the, quote, vast censorship enterprise that McCarthy v. Missouri uncovered because the court said it hadn't seen enough evidence for the agency's involvement. This new lawsuit from Texas, the Federalist, and the Daily Wire provide such evidence. Even though Congress and the Constitution have banned the federal government from silencing Americans, the State Department's Global Engagement Center, GEC, has morphed into a lead in the coordinating the government's efforts to silence speech. The lawsuit says. The lawsuit names as defendants in the United States State Department, GEC, and multiple department officials, including Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. GEC, organized as a counterterrorism agency created by an executive order from Barack Obama. Though the GEC, the State Department, evaluated more than 365 different tools for scrubbing the internet of disfavored information, the lawsuit says. The department also pays millions of dollars to develop multiple internet disinformation tools. It also runs tests on censorship technologies and awards government prize money to those most efficient at controlling what Americans say and hear online, the lawsuit says. State then shares the censorship technologies with companies, favored media outlets, academics, and government agencies. It markets these government-funded censorship technologies to Silicon Valley companies, including Facebook, X, LinkedIn. The tools included supposed fact-checking technologies, media legacy tools, media intelligence platforms, social network mapping, and machine learning artificial intelligence technology, the lawsuit says. At least two of the censorship tools the State Department has funded, developed, and awarded have targeted the Federalist and the Daily Wire. The lawsuit says NewsGuard and the GDI wield these tools developed with the government assistance to deprive government critically thinking news outlets, including the Federalist and the Daily Wire, of operating funds. They do this by rating conservative outlets poorly, falsely claiming these outlets purify disinformation and are unreasonable. These proves leftist media competitors of high-value ad dollars from the big companies that use these rating systems. Such companies include YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, Best Buy, ExxonMobil, Kellogg, MasterCard, and Verizon. Quote, advertising companies that subscribe to GDI's blacklist refuse to place ads with disfavored news sources, cutting off the revenue streams and leaving the blacklisted outlets unable to compete with the approved low-risk media outlets, often legacy news, the lawsuit says, boosting disinformation while claiming the opposite. Rating companies like NewsGuard and GDI base their low ratings of outlets like the Federalist, at least in part on politically charged, quote, fact checks of a tiny percentage of the outlet's articles. While these companies' full ratings criteria are secret, in December of 2022, GDI published the top 10 of the most favored and the most disfavored news outlets. The Federalist and the Daily Wire appear on the GDI's 10 riskiest list. Latest risky sites. The least risky sites. NPR, AP News, The New York Times, ProPublica, Insider, USA Today, The Washington Post, BuzzFeed, The Wall Street Journal, and Huffington Post. The riskiest sites. The New York Post, Reason Magazine, Real Clear Politics, The Daily Wire, The Blaze, One America News Network, The American Conservative, The Federalist, Newsmax, and The American Spectator. All of these outlets on the GDI's least risky list has helped spread some of the government's biggest disinformation operations in the last decade. Those include the Russia collusion hoax and Hunter Biden laptop stories, which influenced the national elections in favor of Democrats. The top 10 least risky outlets have also widely widely published notable misinformation, such as claims that COVID vaccines prevent disease transmission, the Covington student insult hoax, and the evidence-free claims that the Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh is a serial gang rapist. This federal censorship industrial complex's numerous disinformation operations include the Hamilton 68 effort. In context, the Federalist not only reported all of these stories accurately from the beginning, but for the most led the reporting pack that proved it. The GDI rated the Daily Wire's risk level as high and the Federalist risk level as maximum. While technologies and enterprises, the State Department promotes push corporate media's biggest purveyors of propaganda, they also blacklist the Federalist and the Daily Wire, the lawsuit says, negatively impacting media plaintiffs' ability to circulate and distribute their publications to both current and potential audiences, and intentionally destroying the media plaintiffs' ability to obtain advertisers. Microsoft, for example, uses NewsGuard's technology to train Bing Chat. The lawsuit is filed in the United States Federal Court for the Eastern District of Texas. It seeks a court declaration that the State Department's funding, testing, pressuring, and promoting of internet censorship tools is unconstitutional, and in order that it end. Yeah, so they're not suing for money. You can tell that they're not in it for the money because they're not suing for the money. They could be suing for millions and millions of dollars, but instead what they are doing is they're saying, no, this is not fair for the American people, and we're going to pay for it so the American people can get a free and just press. But also at the same exact time, if they get rid of these NewsGuard and agencies and stuff like that, they're going to get some more ad dollars. So of course they want the ad dollars, but I don't blame them. That's the reward for them to be fighting this at the very first place. If they sit here and they risk their whole entire company from being attacked and stuff like that, maybe if they don't win, then they're going to be attacked even more. If they risk the company's reputation like that, then they should be getting some sort of reward. So I completely agree with that. So with that being said, we're going to end off this episode here. If you did like this episode and you do want to see some more, I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching. I hope they have a great rest of your day. And if you did like this episode, please like and subscribe down below. Thank you all for watching. I hope they have a great rest of your day.